If by this point I've convinced you that you ought to try Toastmost, here's the process of setting up a club website. Now, after I cover the very beginning decisions you will make about how to structure your website and your agenda, we'll go into the process of editing your home page and maybe starting to add a little bit of extra content, such as a blog post. Now, if you want, you can skip ahead. If you're more interested in getting your agenda set up properly, I'm going to tackle that in the following section: how to work with the agenda, and then how to customize the agenda to meet the way the order of your things in your meetings flow and the timing of things in your meetings flow. From there, we'll get into setting up email forwarding and other options. There are a bunch of features built into the service that you just have to decide whether you want to turn them on, such as a mailing list for all your members and all your officers. You can also set up something so that every time somebody fills out that form on toastmasters.org, the Find a Club form that sends a notification to you, that they'll automatically get a response that tells them a little bit about your club and how to attend, how to find out more, hopefully on your website. We'll get eventually into adding more pages, reorganizing the website menu and other design options, and then into more advanced configuration options, such as adding additional plugins or requesting additional plugins to be added to the service. I'll cover how to optimize content for search and social media so that it becomes part of a comprehensive digital marketing strategy for your club. And finally, I'll get into how to get help when you do get stuck, which may happen along the way. So I go to the toastmost.org website, and if I already have a password, I can click here to skip ahead to the sign-up page. For this demo, let's assume I don't have a password, so I'm going to use a email address that will be forwarded to me. All right. So it'll say check your email for a message that will allow you to confirm your subscription. So let's go do that. So here we go. Confirm your email, begin your website setup. Just please click to confirm. Account created for July 4th. So I should be able to log in using this temporary password. Okay, here we are. And I can save that. Use my password manager. Use LastPass. And so I land on this page where it's asking me what website address do I have, and it's asking me for some other details. So your website address initially is going to be something.toastmost.org. All right, and this is going to be a club website. We can put in our district numbers, some other things. Those are mostly informational, but they can be used to help set up your page. But an important thing to put in is your schedule that you plan to follow. And this is important to put in because it uses these parameters to calculate what your future events should be, what your event schedule should be. So assuming you follow something that is fairly regular, like every Wednesday or first and third, you can put that in. You can put in the time that you meet, the time that your meetings start, and you should put in your time zone. It'll actually try and detect your time zone, the script will, but you can set that to be whatever you would like it to be. You can add some collaborators, so you can invite a few other people in to help you test, and then add more members later. So that's a way that you can get started, but we can skip past that. And we're going to go down and we're going to pick a theme that we want to use as a starting point. Now, you'll be able to make a lot of different customizations later, but I could look at this one and say, well, this looks pretty good. Why don't we start with that? Come down to the bottom and say create site. All right, and so it says you'll get a follow-up message with instructions on how to set up agendas and other aspects of your club website. If you were assigned a temporary password, you can change your password now. Now that might be a good idea because there's always a possibility that your email could be intercepted and somebody else could have the administrative password to your website just by hacking into your email. So you might want to change your password now, either note it down or use a password manager to keep track of it. But it does say that you're going to get a follow-up message with instructions. Wait till that comes through, because it actually does take a few minutes for the system to set everything up. I'm getting some system messages as the Toastmost administrator that a new site has been initialized, but it'll take a few seconds for it actually to be ready. Okay, so it did take a few minutes, but now I've got this message saying that your new website awaits. Visit the site or go straight to the login page. I was already logged in for a few minutes ago, so I can just go to the home page, and this should open up. And so it has a default image up top, which I can change. I can change any of the text of this, but it says, "Welcome to July 4th, Independence Toastmasters." And it has a few starter menus, and it has a few starter pages on the menu. So there's a calendar listing, but nothing's on the calendar just yet. Now what I can do now is go to the club website setup wizard, and that'll walk me through how to get started with a website. And it asks me to make some basic choices about how much time I want to add for different activities, what roles I want to have on the agenda. And by making some of these choices, it will set up a starter agenda for us. We'll probably want to customize it more later. But here we're saying we have 3 speakers and 3 evaluators at a typical meeting, or that's how many we try to get. And so you can change that to be whatever it is. If you really typically only get 2 speakers and 2 evaluators, maybe it's a meeting with a limited amount of time, and you want to have Topics Master in there. You can have that before or after speakers. So after speakers and before evaluators, we'll do table topics, and it says time allowed is 10 minutes. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe we want to allow 15. So this will give you a basic idea of how to structure your agenda at the very beginning. There's lots of customization that you can do later on. There are prompts to add things like a theme and word of the day as an element of your agenda. There is a widget where people can record that they expect to be absent for an upcoming meeting, so that you can keep track of that and you're not nagging those people as much. You can include your officers listing on the agenda, invite guests to register online, which is a little widget on the home page that says RSVP now if you'd like to attend our next meeting. Show the time zone on all your events. This is particularly recommended for any club that meets in an online or hybrid format, where you could have people from all over the world. Try and make it clear how they can get that translated into their own time zone. And allow member data to sync. That's more of a technical thing. I won't get into it right now, but you probably want that turned on. So we're going to go to the next screen after having made those basic choices. And it's going to add a bunch of dates according to our recurring schedule. If we wanted to, we could go and edit those further now, but maybe we don't want to get into that just yet. Now, by default, the officer role that I've assigned myself is a webmaster, but if I'm actually the VP of Public Relations, I might want to record that. And there is an option here to invite some other members right up front. Now, if you want to invite in the whole club, which might be advisable, I'll show you how to do that using the download that you can get from Toastmasters International of your current active members. You can create accounts for everybody as a batch. But if you just want to add in a few other members to have them be able to come in and sort of help you evaluate the software, you can do that right here just by putting in their name, an email address. You can decide whether you want them just to be a regular member or whether you want them to be another administrator of the site who will have access to all the settings. So we can do that right now. There's also an option to add in some test users, which maybe I'll do just so we have some other accounts to play around with. And we can just get rid of those test users later. So here it lands me on a page that says, here are the next steps that you might want to take. You can go right in to edit your home page. There's some help links to learn more. View the role sign-up page and agenda. Start to explore different options and add members to your club website. So this link here will take me right to the page for adding members. And I'm going to show you how I would do that using the spreadsheet downloaded from Toastmasters.org. You can also enter accounts one at a time. You would put in the username that you want to use, their email, their first name, their last name, and any other information about them. The advantage to importing the spreadsheet from Toastmasters.org is that you also get their member ID into the system, and that actually makes it easier to keep things in sync over time. We can see that these fake users, none of them have member IDs, so it's actually warning me about that they might want to add that, but I don't want to add member IDs for fictitious people. So I'm going to go into Club Central, Membership Management, and what I want to do is export the spreadsheet version of this. So I'm going to download that to my computer. And so I'm actually switching over to a different test site to do this because these are live member accounts. I don't want to cause confusion there. But I select the file on my computer. There is also a way of copy and pasting this in, but it goes smoother if you choose the file. And I'll click Import. And it will ask me to confirm that this information is correct. I'm going to assume that it is. Let's say confirm add members. And so each of these members will now get an email that contains this text. You've been registered at this website. Here's your default username. And to set your password, please click this link. So each member can click that link choose a password that they want to use. It's always going to recommend one with lots of gobbledygook, which is more secure. That does make it stronger, but there are tactics for coming up with something that is significant to you, but not easy for somebody else to guess. You don't necessarily want to use your wife's birthday, or certainly your birthday, thing that could be easily known by somebody else who's trying to hack your website. And hackers do also use just random guessing games, kind of brute force their way into guessing passwords for different sites. So you don't want to be packed, so you want it to be reasonably hard, but maybe this is a date that is significant to me and my family, but not too many other people. So that's not too bad. So if I had this in the system, maybe this is my great-grandfather's birthday, and this is something that I can remember, then that could be a reasonable password. And having something kind of punctuation, like even that comma in there, makes it a little bit stronger. So the member will click Save Password, and then you can from there, they will be able to log into the website with that password and go to town. Now, a bunch of the work that we've been showing you so far is taking place on what's called the dashboard of WordPress. So this is the administrators area. It's also the private member area where certain information is accessible. Now, you as the administrator get access to a much more complicated menu, a lot more options on the dashboard. A regular member will see something that looks more like this, with some basic options. This is the screen where they can go to change their personal information. Maybe they want to add in a phone number or change their email, or they can change their password. There is also an option where they can add their profile photo. Maybe I can show you that later. But the administrator's dashboard that you get as the website administrator shows all sorts of options. There are a number of things that are related to specifically Toastmasters administration, setting up email, so that there are mailing lists you can turn on. There's email forwarding that you can have active, where you can have veritesty.president is one that's sort of built in that goes along with assigning your president's role. And I'll go over some of this in more detail later. But if we go out and look at the public website, what we have right now is really just a starting point. So it has a little bit of information that was gathered from the sign-up form and from that setup wizard that we completed. It has an initial list of meetings according to our schedule that are already set up into the system. And so we could go over to any one of those meetings and sign up for a role or assign other people to a role. And what we have on the home page is just visit as a guest. We have that widget that is built in here. And then there's some boilerplate information that's baked in here. Some of this is taken from Toastmasters International, where they have their mock-up of what a good homepage might include, information about Toastmasters in general. But we're going to want to replace a lot of that with more specific information about our club and why it is so wonderful. So in the next lesson, I'm going to get into how to customize your homepage.